Welcome back to the African Photography Safaris podcast. As usual, we've got a lot to talk about, but before we continue, apologies that there has been a massive gap since our last episode, and we'll explain why shortly. Another thing, we've decided that the podcasts get a little bit too long. Well, can be a bit too long, to be fair. So some of them are way over an hour, so we're going to make them a bit shorter. Hopefully we can produce them more regularly too.
Yeah, we're very good at talking shite for hours. Yeah, well, I am, yeah. So we're going to make things a bit more concise and bite-sized. In this episode, we're going to talk about the whole Big Five thing. We have a wildlife wonder, and we also have a look back at our trip to the Mara in August and September in 2025. And also, get this, you can have free camera gear for 2 weeks on one of our safaris. Stay tuned and we'll reveal all. So where have we been and what have we been doing? Apart from me moving house, concluding a divorce settlement, releasing several music singles and scaling Everest for the second time, one of those isn't true. Let you decide.
It was 3 times.
Was it 3 times?
You scaled Everest 3 times.
That was the red herring, right?
Yeah. So since our last episode, we've been to the Mara, of course, and fab groups of people.
And Everest.
And Everest. No, we haven't really. And we made a few administrative changes to our company, African Photography Safaris. Most of it was around implementation of our new financial protection trust, which means we are compliant with UK package travel regulations. So wherever a guest books from, we can continue to demonstrate that their money is actually safe and held in a secure trust.
Yeah, so it's about guest confidence, really. But that meant we had to do a couple of other very time-consuming company admin things, which in turn meant a lot of changes to our website. So we decided to tear that apart and build it up again on a less bloaty platform. Bloaty is a technical term.
Yeah, a bloaty platform. It was like a bloat of hippos, really, wasn't it? Basking in the water. Lots of heaving and farting and lots of splashing and not really much progress, you know.
Sounds like me having a bath.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say yes because I can only imagine. But anyway, nothing is simple. It's taken a lot of time, which is why the podcasts have been, we had to put them to the side for a bit, really. But some massive news on the Photography Safaris gear front too, as Khalil mentioned before. This is really, really epic. We have an absolutely incredible new partnership with FUJIFILM UK, which means guests who are resident on the UK mainland, they can actually enjoy complimentary camera, lens and accessory hire for up to 14 days, free gear hire. I mean, that's epic. It's not just aimed at guests who already use Fujifilm gear, but it's also aimed at those who are perhaps looking to upgrade from a digital SLR system to mirrorless or a different system and are perhaps a little bit curious to try the X mount or the GFX mount. Medium format is included, which is epic as well.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Also, I've used it and it is great.
It does look lovely.
Yeah. Also, people who perhaps don't have any suitable gear at all but want to do a wildlife photography safari. Anyway, it includes courier delivery and pickup. It includes a level of insurance, however, and additional insurance levy may be needed depending on the kit, perhaps, some existing camera insurance, but it depends on the value of the kit that's being loaned. But ultimately, it's a free 14-day hire, which is absolutely amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And there's a real treasure trove of kit in there too. Alan, I know you've worked a lot with Fujifilm UK.
Yeah.
And this has enabled access to lenses like the lovely 200mm f2 and the medium format GFX range as well. I know I shoot Sony, but I might avail myself of this and borrow some Fujifilm gear.
Yeah, I mean, it's lots of great gear. I mean, I've really enjoyed using the gear that you mentioned. That 200mm f2 is just incredible on Safari.
Yeah.
And the GFX2, 250mm, 500mm lens, those incredible 102 megapixel files you get. They've got so much detail in them,
Yeah.
But
there's something about that medium format as well that just kind of has a more creamy look about it. It's hard to describe, but it's
special, isn't it? Yeah. I love using it. I think it's great. I've used it quite a lot. I didn't use it this year, and I used it a lot in 2024.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I did miss using it this year.
Yeah.
But as much as it's about that super top end gear, it's also about stuff like the XF 150-600. It's incredibly good lens, especially for birding. I often say that I've done some of my best African bird photography with that lens and the XH2S.
Yeah.
But we've also got the 5140, the f2.8, and the 70-300, the 100-400. They're all incredibly versatile sort of lenses, which are fantastic for safari use.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really simple too. If you're coming on a safari with us, just drop us an email and we'll forward your name and contact details to the wonderful team at Fuji UK. Sorry, Fujifilm.
Fujifilm.
You've got to get it right. Yeah. And they'll be in touch with you to get you kitted out.
Yeah. And of course, you can come back to us at any time if you've got any sort of questions, any about the gear that you want to hire, anything else that you need to know, to be fair. But before we continue, massive thank you to my friend Andreas at the wheel of Fujifilm UK for helping us set this up. It's epic and we are truly grateful. So on your website, we also decided to introduce something what is called Wild Insights. It's basically our photography safari blog, where we wanted a better outlet than social media offers, something to talk about conservation, creativity in photography, and also those incredible moments on safari. It's about what we see, hear, and feel that makes us kind of really stop and think. It includes some maybe controversial, to be fair, but genuine and honest views on issues. We call these sort of our wild perspectives. We write about photography, of course, including dissecting some photographs to say what we did and why, some fascinating footage from our PIR trail cams in the dead of night, lots of important and hopefully interesting fieldcraft stuff too.
It's basically an outlet for you, for your nerding and about whatever new turd's been left behind by wandering antelope in the dead of night or something.
It is pretty much, to be fair, yeah. What have I found? It's, I think, a bit of zebra turd. Let's enthuse about it far too much than we really should about it. A zebra turd on the path.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all love a zebra turd. Elephant turd has got to be the best. Though.
Elephant cake.
It's like, it's very elephant muffins. Yeah. It's very structural, shall we say?
Yeah. Remember that pile that we found?
Yeah,
it was like an
enormous
pile of pebbles.
Absolutely enormous. Yeah. So far, we've given some wild insights about responsible photography safaris in the Masai Mara conservancies. We've already mentioned some incredible footage from our PIR night vision trail cameras, and also written about AI being passed off as wildlife photography.
Yeah, that's quite a controversial thing on that one. I decided to write a bit about that because in the last few weeks I've seen loads of examples where tour operators and safari companies and even an organisation that oversees tour operators are using obvious fake AI imagery to market safaris, which I think is pretty awful. I get AI. I understand it. I understand the advantages of it. I understand the dangers of it. But I think when you're trying to sell a product or an experience and you're using fake imagery to do that, that is really grossly wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm quite surprised that we're seeing that. And I really don't agree with that.
I have to say,
we don't. We
absolutely don't.
You know, not in our book.
I would say I'm not surprised that people are doing that, but it's still quite shocking when you see it.
Yeah.
In case you've been living under a rock, you'll have noticed that AI has reached incredible levels of realism. You've got things like Mid-Journey and now Google's Nano Banana. Have you heard of that? It's pretty new, to be honest. But the real, I think what they've done is you used to be able to tell, you say, oh, that's obviously AI, and now they've sort of got the something about the textures and the realism is just like it's very, very hard to tell. And we're reaching a point now where unless you really, really know what you're looking for, it's very hard to tell whether things are AI or not, which is a bit worrying. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It's wrong.
Yeah. I think it can.
We discuss why it's wrong in the blog. So head over to the blog, head over to the Wild Insights blog, have a look at the post, and you'll understand perhaps what we're talking about a little bit more here.
Yeah. I think it's creeping into every aspect of our lives, AI. And as Alan says, safari companies, like so many other companies, are taking shortcuts and using AI images to promote their safaris.
But showing stuff that didn't happen, never will happen.
Yeah.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
And that's selling a wrong well, that's what we talk about.
It's sort of misrepresentation,
It is,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so another thing we've also got on the Wild Insights is we've got the fantastic Tina showing the world how she mixes up our official safari cocktail, the whiskey dower.
Safari booze.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Some fieldcraft observations as well on oxpeckers and herbivores and some wildlife action focusing hints and tips too.
Yeah, so we've got a lot more content planned. Comments can be made, of course. So please do take a look. Let us hear what you have to say on some of the topics that we cover. If you agree with us, disagree with us, whatever, that's fine. We can always censor them anyway. Yeah,
It's kind of a companion to the podcast, really.
it is, yeah. There'll be a lot of sort of cross content, to be fair. So all of our podcasts are on the new website too, and most importantly, the actual safaris themselves. And we have to say we're planning other trips, more trips to bring online, which are going to be bookable soon.
Yes.
But what happened?
To be revealed in the future.
Yeah. What happened in August and September?
Well, as always, Kenya excels at providing incredible wildlife photography opportunities. I mean, Alan and I have been so many times, and I've said this before actually, that there's always multiple moments where we're happily surprised by amazing wildlife encounters. It never gets old. And as always, we've had a great group of photographers with us. You know, I don't just say that for the sake of it. You know, we've reflected on this before.
That's great.
You know, that we often have the sort of people that would just be quite happy to just have a chat with, and that is on the same wavelength as us. And
I think if we look at our guests and we met these people in the boozer, on a Friday night, we'd probably quite happily have a pint with them and just have a bit of crack, and that's really good. You know,
and I think that translates actually, you know, when we're sitting around the campfire as
definitely.
well. You know,
it's a social aspect. It's so important. You know?
It's extremely rare, I think, when there's a clash of personalities. We genuinely enjoy chatting to and spending time with our guests on safari.
100%.
We've heard of safari leaders who shall rename.
Rename.
We're
going to rename them all.
We'll rename them. Yeah, we've heard of people who
we shall call him.
Don't. Who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
We've heard of people who disappear after the day's photography only to reappear the next morning, and that completely misses all the banter that you have around the campfire and, you know, the chat at the dining table. And, I would completely miss that. That's part of what we really love about going on safari. You get to spend some time with like-minded people. It's great. Yeah,
and I mean, I'm not going to turn this into a kind of slang and match to other providers because it's not what it's about. But guest experiences is crucial, and to me, you know, if you're leading a safari, you're there 24/7. Well, not literally, but you are available on call 24/7.
Yeah. And except for when you're off to the bog, you know.
But that includes, you know, during the day having a bit crack on with people, you know, doing tuition and processing and things like that. But I mean, I do know people who just disappear that they feel as though they're not getting paid to socialise and eat with the guests, and I think that's absolutely...
It's not about that though, is it?
It's not. No, it's about enjoying, and it's the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Kenya, we stay in the Lemek Conservancy, and there's a large resident pride of lions there. There's always some turmoil going on from year to year. There's always news. There's always new males coming in, fighting, driving off the existing ones, new cubs being born, play fighting, hunts and everything.
Pride.
Yeah, it is. There's a big churn, the big turnover. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular, actually.
Absolutely.
The males in the Lemek Pride were... Is it Senka or Sinka?
Sinka and
Yankee. Yeah,
they're the ones. They did have a third one.
Was he driven off or something, or killed?
I think he's dead.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think he's MIA.
Right.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
Who knows whether they'll be ousted by the time we get back there in 2026. That's what's quite so interesting about this place. It's not like you know what you're going to get every year. Every trip is different, you know.
There's always something. There's always something that happens.
There's always some drama.
Yeah.
The elephants as well put on a really good show in 2025. We spent a lot of mornings and evenings with them, and this time there was an elephant in Must. So Must is M-U-S-T-H.
Yeah.
Must. It basically means that he's horny and fired up. Billy Big Bollocks, we called him. He was strutting around, even pushing trees over to show his strength. Pretty amazing.
He didn't like us being anywhere
near
him, really,
he would sort of size up the vehicle, and, you know, our guides are completely used to this. They're always very safe, but, you can see that he was behaving differently. Elephants are normally incredibly chilled.
Yeah,
and you know
very
they sort
predictable.
of pass. They're very quiet. They just do their thing. They just pretty much ignore you. When elephants are in must, they're just a lot more lively, and it's just like, ooh, yeah, interesting.
You've got to
A lot
keep your
more
eye on them.
behaviour.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the elephants more than normal. I think this year. We didn't see any at all, really, for the first 2 or 3 days, and we're thinking, well, all the bloody elephants gone. And then all of a sudden, they were just there in fantastic numbers. And
That often happens, actually. It's
Yeah,
like, no elephants,
yeah.
no elephants. Oh, all the elephants.
yeah, our guests and obviously us really enjoyed these sort of engaging moments when, you're just sitting in your vehicle and you're sitting with your camera and you're having a bit of chat with people, and there's a big herd around, and they're heading in your direction. You've got females, you've got juveniles, you've got calves, some non-dominant bulls. Let's exclude Billy Big Bollocks from this. They're just moving so peacefully around you, feeding and totally calm, often really, really close to her. And there's so many photographic opportunities when this sort of thing happens, because they're so calm and we're just sitting chilled. We're not interfering. They've accepted us around them.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to be in these places at these times with these incredibly intelligent animals. I think it's often very difficult to put this sort of thing into words. I don't know. Maybe a feeling of quiet awe.
Isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
It's not excitement. It's just it's quiet awe. They're allowing us to be there.
Yeah.
In their presence, and it's quite profound, I suppose.
It
really.
is. I think so. Yeah. I tell you what, I really noticed as well. It was very green in 2025 as well. You could tell that as soon as we would take a small aircraft from Nairobi into the Mara, and as soon as you start approaching the Mara, you could really see it was a lot more. It's quite out there. The August-September time when we do the Great Migration Safari, it's often quite yellow and dry and whatever, and that's the typical thing that you would expect.
Rains, hasn't it?
But a lot more rain, so it was quite a lot more green this time than usual. There were quite a lot more younger animals around as well, especially antelopes and zebras. One thing we noticed in particular was the large number of eagles, lots of tawnies and black-chested snake eagles as well. The hyenas were great as well. There's a big clan. Actually, there might be more than one clan, I think, in Limerick. There's just like a few. There's
definitely.
a lot of hyenas. Hyenas, yeah.
Well, you remember that big hyena fight that we saw a little while ago?
Yeah.
That was clearly 2 or 3 different clans.
That was 3 clans, I think. They'd all come in on a kill, hadn't they? They were all sort of fighting over the kill. Yeah. There's a lot of pups around as well, which was nice to see, sort of poking their head up in the grass. So, and the large herd of buffaloes was ever present. I'm quite sure, actually, that that herd that we've seen for the last couple of years now, it's probably a couple of hundred strong. Always loads of calves, I think they've come from the National Reserve. So I think they used to be in the National Reserve, and I think I was talking to one of the guys. I'm fairly sure this is the correct thing. Because of pressures down there, they've actually moved up into the conservancy, so we get to see them all the time.
They start out like a you see them from miles away.
A
huge
absolutely.
herd of buffalo.
And you get quite often you get a lot of young ones as well, young calves, but you also get a lot of things like cattle egrets and oxpeckers and wattle starlings eating all of the insects that get disturbed off the ground and whatever. And pecking off the ticks and things like that.
A bit of mutualism and commensalism.
That's the one. I knew you were going there.
Nerd hat. I should have a nerd hat.
I know. Yeah, we should actually. A little cone or something.
So one of the really nerdy things that I enjoyed this year, this is really nerd. Well, it's more.
Well, amongst several.
It's not as nerdy as I can get, but it was our 2 PIR, that's passive infrared trail cameras. It's night vision, basically, and we stuck them up in a couple of trees around and inside Matty Coco Safari Camp. We moved them around a bit, and we set them to come on around 10:30 at night, switch off around 5 a.m. And during this time, they would trigger automatically when they detected movement.
Yeah, we did this because we could hear a lot of things going on throughout the night.
We always do.
We know animals pass through the camp, and we thought, well, why not? We'll have a look and see if there's any spoor the next morning.
Yeah, well, we always see the spoor. It's a good word.
It's a very good
so
word,
what we did was we set them cameras up because we see the spoor, which is the tracks and the trails and things like that. But we wanted to actually just have a look at what was going on, didn't we?
Yeah. Spoor. I do love that word. It's I don't know if it's Dutch or Afrikaans or whatever, but probably the two are linked. It's basically evidence left by an animal: tracks, trails, droppings, evidence of feeding, like freshly broken branches or whatever from browsers, urine scent making. And all that sort of thing. So we just wanted to get a look at what was going on. Poo. Yeah, poo's a good one. Yeah. Scat.
Scat and dub. Turds.
Turds.
Turds. Rule of turds. We'll be Irishist.
That's what we should have called the podcast, the rule of turds.
Rule of turds. Yeah, the rule of turds. Yeah.
So we wanted to get a look at what was going on after the campfire, and it is so dark you literally can't see anything. Otherwise, it. Incidentally, when I've driven through like Holland and Netherlands, and maybe Belgium as well, because I don't know if it's similar. Flemish. Well, no, it's
Bob Flemish.
Bob Flemish. Yeah. Anyway, I've seen signs saying spoor forming.
Right.
Which means something like vehicles have formed ruts as they've gone through.
Right.
Like vehicles, the cars have left their spoor.
Well, there's a tangent. That isn't a tangent. Because I suppose that's an Afrikaans connection in there. Spoor.
It must be, yeah.
Dutch,
So the Dutch language, which
German,
informed Afrikaans.
Dutch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so what we didn't anticipate was just how kind of interesting and engaging that this would be as a guest sort of activity, and also the Maasai lads as well, Moses, James, Oluseku. Every day we'd sort of get the memory cards back off these cameras, we'd sit and review the footage on the laptops, and it developed into a bit of a really good group thing. We would try to identify the animals, some that we've never actually seen, explaining, referring to the field guides, trying to work out what it was that we were seeing, and it was good experience. It was fantastic. There was lots of surprises.
Yeah. We had some things that we would expect, like zebras, impalas, and hyenas and stuff like that. And there was a very close munching, grazing hippo as well. It's like the crunch in the grass was a very sort of ASMR kind of thing on a massive scale.
Was it
And then
what's ASMR mean?
ASMR. I don't know what it stands for, but it's like when somebody goes, I can't stand it. To be
what
honest.
does ASMR stand for?
Yeah.
How's that ASMR? That's just talking too close to the microphone.
Probably, yeah. It's a thing.
ASMR.
Sensory. Don't know. Yeah. Well, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, I'll drop in a little thing of what it is.
ASMR.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like sounds and mouth noises and all sorts of stuff like that. People listen to it to relax. It drives me up the wall, frankly. But anyway, yeah.
All right, okay. I've never heard it.
Yeah. Well, you have now by a hippo crunching the grass.
Yeah, I get that, but I just don't know. I mean, ASMR, it obviously stands for something. But,
yeah. I can't remember what it stands for, but we'll put it in.
Google it in a minute.
Yeah. We also had a giraffe dropping its guts and a few surprising and unusual sightings. Yeah.
You always tell when it because apparently
they're quite dry, aren't they?
Well, yeah, giraffes and elands are very similar, and even you can even tell the difference between male and female giraffe dung because it's one of them's more tapered than the other. Something to do with the bowel tract, and because of the space of the female, the different physiological anatomy, that's going on.
Yes.
But anyway, but you always tell because they do look similar to an eland at times, but a giraffe's more widely spread because it's literally falling
further. Yeah, exactly. From a massive crane.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, it was fascinating. So all these things that were found on the trail cameras. So it's so much so we decided to include some of the footage in some of our Wild Insights blog posts. So they're on the website. So have a look.
Now, Big Five. So in early August, I was in Johannesburg's Tambo Airport, which is not unusual. But more than
Do you
ever,
actually live there?
I wish I did, because there's a great craft brewery, airport craft brewery. You can get like,
honestly, every time it's like I get when he's on safari, I get these texts and video calls. It's like, look what I've got now. It's a new beer I've never come across. You know,
it's
in
lush.
the airport itself.
I love it. I really love the airport craft brewery, because you can get a tasting tray of 8 beers and a burger for about like £5 or £6 in sterling. I could actually, you know what was that film about that bloke that lived in the airport? Like, was it not Tom Hanks or something lived in?
Oh,
I
don't know.
It was something like
That's
that.
not going to translate well.
It was based on a true story.
Yeah.
But I think I could actually live in Tambo Airport because of the airport craft brewery. I could.
You've got all the food groups there.
24/7, you know, no bother. Burger and beer.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah.
So when I was in Tambo Airport, more than ever before, I just had this sort of looking around, and the shops seem to be really feeding this massive Big Five obsession. And it's always been the case. You know, it's always been there sort of in the background, but it just seems to have gone up a massive gear. Everywhere I looked, there's like people walking around with hoodies, caps, beanies. It was like way over the top, more than normal. I don't know what's been going on.
Yeah.
Clothing adorned with images and slogans of the Big Five. And in a way, I noticed it a little bit more in Nairobi too.
Okay, right.
Not as much, because I don't think there's quite as many retailers in the airport. But yeah, definitely did notice it a lot more this year. So I thought we'd kind of talk about this whole Big Five thing, but not the sort of merchandise, not the tat that I've just mentioned. And it is tat, to be fair. You know what I mean? It's crap. You know, the Big Five is a real term, good or bad, that's debatable. But so I thought we'd actually talk about the actual Big Five, you know, and what the relevance is.
Yeah, so the Big Five is a term that many will be familiar with, but let's recap anyway, because it comes from a source you might not expect in the modern day. It's a collective term for lions, leopards, elephants, rhinos, and Cape buffalo. Not water buffalo, Cape buffalo.
Yeah.
It's quite specific with those ones. It's not about the physical size or charisma or rating of population or conservation importance or anything like that. It's originally a term coined by colonial era trophy hunters. The Big Five were the most dangerous animals to hunt on foot. The ones most likely to kill you if it all went wrong.
It's when it all, not if. It's when it all went wrong. It's if it all went wrong, because I'd say it does invariably. You know, we see all these various news reports of hunters and things like that. And I'm not making this against. I'm not making it a hunting debate, but generally speaking, it's not.
Well, you could do.
It's not.
We're against it.
It's when it all goes wrong. You know. So the term has its roots in consumptive tourism. It was based upon danger and dominance, perhaps, rather than admiration and respect and conservation that we kind of promote. Today, though, Big Five is more commonly used by many as a bit of a benchmark of a successful safari.
It's kind of a shorthand, isn't it? It's like, did you see the Big Five?
Badge of honour and all that, you know. It's an achievement by tourists and safari companies. We will see the Big Five. Did you see the Big Five? You know. And yeah, we do it. You know, we celebrate that. We see and photograph the Big Five in Kenya, and I've enthused that. In the morning I've photographed the Big Five, and in the afternoon I've photographed the Big Five, especially in South Africa. But just to clarify, not the same animals twice. You know, we've actually seen the Big Five twice in a day. And they weren't the same.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a powerful concept. I think you know, wildlife tourists love a checklist, and the Big Five offers that. You know, their stories are compelling, their lives are complex, they're charismatic, they're not just iconic, they're all keystone species shaping the ecosystems that they live in, and they're, you know, a good mix of carnivores and herbivores with plenty of drama and a real perception of peril as well, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's also a kind of widely criticised concept, and I absolutely get this too. In many respects, and I think this is quite sad, that I know a lot of people who have been on a safari to Africa. Oh, we didn't see the Big Five, and I'm, well, okay, yeah, I understand that, because the Big Five's kind of elevated as some sort of badge of honour.
But did you enjoy yourself?
But did you enjoy yourself, or were you obsessing about seeing something? You know, exactly, and I think it's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many incredible iconic species, from the small, from the strange, the subtle, to other larger carnivores. Cheetah, hyena, wild dogs, and then we've got some of the herbivores like hippos, giraffes, zebra, some amazing ranges of diversity of antelopes and incredible bird life.
Yeah.
And they're not in the big five.
No.
So the big five's great, but there's so much more going on, and getting obsessed with the big five, which I think this tourist tat kind of encourages,
Yeah.
For me, if you went on a safari, regardless of ticking off the big five, I don't think that would be complete, that safari, without experience being close to a huge giraffe, as they stand with such elegance watching you.
Yeah.
With such interest and such quiet, or that incredible dazzle of zebras and the enigmatic lilac-breasted roller and a cast of birds of prey.
I see you got your dazzle of zebras, and they're very good. Yes.
Yeah, dazzle or zeal, yeah. or the drama of hyenas and that sort of clan mentality and things going on. Yeah. If you just chase around the big five all day, and we don't do that, it's nice to see them. Yeah. It's nice to see them, but don't obsess about it, because if you do, then you're going to miss out on so much more.
Just one of the most memorable things about my first ever safari was just getting out of the vehicle and going for a wee round the back. And there was just like a bunch of giraffes around just looking at me. But they're so enormous, and you just think, oh, wow, giraffes are really big.
Yeah.
You see them in the zoo, and it's just like, it's giraffe,
Well, remember when
see them in the wild, and it's just like, oh my God.
Remember when we were coming out the Mara Triangle this year, and James's vehicle got a puncture, and there was loads of giraffes.
The giraffe just looking at it.
Really
interesting.
And me and James started like changing the wheel, of the vehicle, and I thought, well, the giraffes just stood about sort of 25, 30.
We were so curious, weren't they?
We couldn't do anything. We had to change the wheel. We couldn't just sit there. But they were just standing watching us, and
it's funny that we were just so behind hot. Looking at you, looking at them.
And it was so hot, and I was lifting this massive Land Cruiser wheel, and I was helping them with the jack.
We were cheering you on, obviously, not just
from afar. And I'm looking at these giraffes, and I'm looking at our guests, I'm looking at you, and you're just sitting there in the shade, and I'm sweating.
Carry on.
Like bloody. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not going to use that analogy, because it'll probably be offensive. But I was sweating big style. But these giraffes, great. But can you imagine being so like chasing the big five, and being like thinking, oh, I don't want to go and see that giraffe, I don't want to go and see that cheetah, I don't want to go and see that hippo, I don't want to go and photograph those amazing birds, because all I want to see is rhino, elephant, lion, Cape buffalo, and what have you.
It's true. You just mentioned cheetah there. It's like one of the most obvious emissions for me is the cheetah. Amazing. I suppose it goes back to why the term was coined in the first place. It's not about the most desirable animals to see and photograph. Buffalo are fantastic, especially when they're seen in big herds like we do in the Mara. But I'd take a cheetah any day over buffalo.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see both, but cheetahs are just magnificent creatures.
I've mentioned numerous times, it's my absolute favourite.
Supermodels of the animal world.
I could photograph cheetahs all day and never get bored.
Yeah.
They are fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're really special.
Yeah. So, wildlife wonder time, and this is where we talk about some of the most incredible yet fairly unknown things about animals. We've talked about democratic processes and Cape buffaloes in the past. We've talked about wild dogs, termite mounds, long-distance bird migration, how trees can actually communicate their stress to each other.
Sneezing dogs,
yeah. So now it's time for aardvarks.
Yeah. So that's a strange one that neither of us have actually seen one with our own eyes.
No.
Aardvarks are a nocturnal animal, but they're still rarely seen at night, and extremely rare to see them in the daytime or even dusk hours, But one of our night vision cameras at Matikoko Safari Camp caught a brief glimpse of one. Brief, but absolutely unmistakable. It's fair to say that even our Maasai wildlife guides were surprised to see, an aardvark on the camera.
Yeah, they were. It was an epic moment. That, and I remember reviewing the footage and thinking, wow. And then I said to James, we've got an aardvark. And he's like, aardvark, yeah. We've got everybody's coming, well, aardvark, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but the website, the footage is on the Wild Insights blog. Mm-hmm. It's there. Blink and you might miss it. We might be able to play it on top of this YouTube video now. But it was definitely there, nonetheless, as brief as it was. But it made me sort of think as well, if we've got this big five thing, maybe we should also have an elusive 5.
Elusive 5, a little 5, ugly 5.
Ugly 5.
We should do it.
Yeah, well, there is an ugly 5.
It
There's
out.
a
There
little
is,
5, elusive 5, a beautiful 5, Adam, there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Stupid 5.
If there was an elusive 5, I'm sure the aardvark would definitely be there. It was great to see it on the night vision video. We had actually seen over the sort of course of the 2 or 3 days beforehand in and around the camp quite a lot of evidence of the freshly dug holes, and we stopped to take a closer look at them too. It was great to get out the vehicle and talk about it with people and explain how we knew it was an aardvark hole. So these holes are formed when they're digging for termites and ants, and they have this incredible digging strength. They can excavate an incredible 2 foot in around 15 seconds, which is pretty epic, really. You know,
it's like in hard packed earth.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It is. That's exactly what it is. They may also use some of their excavations for their own shelter, but there's a bit of a fieldcraft thing going on here. You can sometimes tell if an aardvark is still in that hole. If you find a sort of newly excavated burrow that's got signs of sort of a tail mark, if it's got claw marks, and you can sort of smell a bit of an acrid vinegary smell, which is the formic acid given off by the ants, that it's
like
been
the
brought in.
defense, isn't it?
Yeah. So they really are the engineers of the bush, of the savannah, digging 2 foot in 15 seconds for food, shelter, and it's incredible strength, and this earns it the sort of keystone species title as well, because the burrows that they're leaving behind are then used by an incredible number of species. I think somebody said 17 different species, I've heard, but we know they're used by hyenas, wild dogs, leopards even, warthogs, jackals, steenbocks, squirrels, civets, genets, porcupines, reptiles, especially monitor lizards and pythons.
Snakes and stuff as well.
Yeah, they're all in there.
See spiders in them as well.
Absolutely. I once got stuck when one of our wheels...
What, in one?
Yeah, not me personally. Just sort of hanging out from my waist upwards.
Look, there's an aardvark. That's Alan.
Yeah, one of our wheels got sunk in an old aardvark burrow, and it was quite funny because it evolved into a bit of a sort of jibe between UK and US vehicle engineering. It's a long story, but maybe that's one for another podcast anyway. But I don't think there's any other animal that is so rarely seen yet has such a massive impact on the sort of habitat that it leaves behind.
Such a legacy.
We see so many signs of it, but we rarely see it as an animal. It's got such a massive impact on the habitat and the benefits to other species, which again, I think I would say it's probably a form of commensalism. It's a relationship where other species benefit and the other, in this case, the aardvark, doesn't really derive any harm nor benefit from it, you know.
Yeah, itself, but creates burrows and completely no. I mean, I've often thought about the fact that we never see one ourselves. Apart from on the trail camera, obviously, yet we see the evidence of their digging all the time, which reminds me of sidling up to a hole in 2025 in our vehicle. Right. I don't know if you were there, actually, and we were idly wondering what might live in there. We said, aardvarks sort of...
They have a Lloyd Grossman moment.
Yes. Who lives in a place like this? And then within seconds, like 1, 2, 3 warthogs came out. 4 warthogs,
I can't.
Breakneck speed, and it scared the bejesus out of us. It was just like everybody in the car was like, "Oh my god," because it was right next to us. Because you just do that thing. It's like, you see here, it's like you can see this has been created by an aardvark, and then bang.
I can see that. Yeah.
Anyway, so lots of animals use them as burrows and hiding places. I remember as well, so we also saw the 2 lionesses hunting.
Right.
I know where it is, but I can't explain where it is. But and they were hunting this warthog, and the warthog used one of the burrows as a hiding place last year. So it bolted into that, and you could see the lionesses. They could still smell where it was, but it had gone in. They couldn't get because the warthogs have incredibly big tusks. So once a warthog is backed into a hole, a lioness won't go in after it because they'll just just tear them to pieces. Yeah. I have to say, aardvarks digging 2 foot in 15 seconds is impressive. Only exceeded by the speed with which Alan and I can get through leagues of onions, yogurts, and cheese to reach a beer from the back of the fridge.
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking of beer,
absolutely, yeah. I think we need a beer.
Yeah.
Aye, absolutely. Beer fridge, aardvarks. You know, he's got that beer like an aardvark through a fridge. So there is an anecdote, and I say anecdote because I don't know how true it is, or perhaps how much of it has probably been embellished. But there's a story about a bloke in South Africa who hit an aardvark with his car years ago.
We're going to assume it's true.
Yeah, I think it's a good story. And he allegedly took it home in the boot of his car because supposedly, and I don't know this, aardvark meat is considered a bit of a sought after meat product. The next morning, he checked his car, and the aardvark wasn't there. Apparently, it hadn't been dead, but it was unconscious. It had come around.
Just had a big session.
Yeah, and it had dug through his boot, through the back seats of his car, then removed and destroyed most of the dashboard before forcing one of the locked front doors open and managed to escape. So I don't know how much of that is true. I've heard it a few times, but to be fair, if you can dig through 2 foot of hard, compact ground in 15 seconds, it really wouldn't surprise me, you know.
Can you imagine the insurance claim? It's like, so I have this aardvark in the boot.
Yeah, it's a great story, isn't it? You know, me and this aardvark were driving home. Anyway, that's episode 16 done now. Shorter as promised, hopefully. And hopefully the gaps in between won't be as long as a result. We're looking ahead to 17 now. Khalil will be back in episode 17 with his filmmaking and video series, talking about ways of adjusting exposure without sort of the non-obvious exposure, aperture, shutter speed sort of things, you know.
Beyond shutter and aperture. Yep.
We'll also have a book review, a Secretary Bird Wildlife Wonder, and we'll also talk about this Framing the Wild thing, which is about what we think about when we take photographs, when we edit them, when we process them. It's also something that is new on our Wild Insights blog too, so we can visualise exactly what we're talking about.
Well, I think that's the lot for episode 16 of the African Photography Safaris podcast. If you'd like to check out the Wild Insights blog on our website or have a look at our photo safaris, go to africanphotographysafaris.com, which is a hell of a mouthful, which I stumble over every time. Our next safari in Kenya is in August, September 2026. Might see you around the campfire.
Yep, and that's it. So we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Good health.
Cheers. Ta-ta.